if marketers aren't thinking about what a playbook is going to look like with these new capabilities because they don't understand the new capabilities, I think they're going to wake up one day and find themselves not just out of jobs, but like out of the game. I don't know how you're going to compete in that world, and it's stressful, frankly.
Welcome, Marc. Really happy to have you here.
Thanks.
Could you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Marc Sirkin. I am currently the Chief Growth Officer at an agency in Raleigh called Walk West. I also run my own consulting firm, Marc Sirkin Consulting. And yeah, that's me.
What's your background? I saw that you've been running a lot of different marketing teams in the past.
Yeah, sure. I have what I think a lot of people do, kind of a weird background, but I spent time at big companies and small companies, public companies, private companies, and nonprofits. So I started my career in the early 90s. I got my first internet job in like 93, 94. Rode the internet bubble up and down. It was really exciting. And I took kind of a left turn in my career. I spent 10 years in large health charities. Running digital fundraising. I, like, for example, built the first email marketing platform for the March of Dimes, built a massive fundraising platform for Leukemia Lymphoma Society. They're now United Blood Cancer, and then spent some time at Autism Speaks. In that whole mix, I spent some time at Microsoft doing some community work. I was a consultant at PwC for a little bit. And then the last 10 years leading up to just last year, I was with a small company called Third Door Media, and we make publications like Search Engine Land and MarTech that a lot of marketers read and run events and stuff like that. I ended up becoming CEO of that company. We sold it to Semrush in October 24, and I spent the last year at Semrush running kind of the Third Door Media business within the marketing group at Semrush, and then I left to start my own consulting firm, and now I'm with Walk West.
Wow, so with this like more than 30 years of
Crazy,
experience, right?
Am I that old? I am.
30 years is like, it's something. But you're in a great position to tell us like this shift that we're living through right now, right? Like marketing is changing and drastically, right? Especially to us slightly younger ones in the industry. Yeah. How do you see that shift? Like what's really changing for you?
We've been through multiple waves. You know, if I think back to 97, 98, I like to tell the story. So in 1996 or so, we were selling, I was with like a 4-person, 5-person agency, and we were selling 1 or 3 page websites. Those were the 2 flavors you could get. And it was like $100, $200, it was cheap. And by 97, 98, it was $50,000 or $100,000. And by 2000, it was $1 million websites. We were building applications. I ended up helping found a company that was basically Wix meets Squarespace in 1999, like super early, too early, unfortunately. And so I've seen the shift all the way. And then we go through, you know, the e-commerce shift, we go through social, mobile, you know, CRM, we got all these technologies, and, you know, all the way up to today with AI. The fundamentals have never changed. And I think this is something I've been really thinking a lot about lately. The fundamentals are the fundamentals, how you have relationships with customers, what value there is. We didn't really ever call it ICP back then. That's new language, but like, you know, knowing your ICP. None of the fundamentals have really shifted, but the technology and the tooling has all become very different. And in those waves, we've experimented with different things, and marketing has become more and more complex and more technical, to the point where I don't really recognize marketing as what it used to be anymore. I mean, marketing, I may expose myself for whatever, but I've been doing this long enough, it's okay. Spreadsheets? In 1999, 2000, like as a marketer, I didn't need spreadsheets. I had Photoshop and I had a video editor, and now you can't do marketing without spreadsheets, and it's all measured. And so, you know, we've seen that evolution. It's gotten more complicated. Even building websites, to be honest, is really complicated. How do you build a well-structured, well-schema, well-performing website that does what it needs to do with all the right technologies? These are technical questions,
technical,
right?
But creative, but like it involves all the teams. Yeah.
So it's just, it's become something it wasn't, which is fine. That's all good. But again, I think like where I'm coming kind of full circle back to is the fundamentals still matter. And those who choose to ignore the fundamentals and focus more on, for example, tools and technologies, I think tend to miss the boat and struggle a little bit.
Yeah. So what do you think, I think you said it a little bit, but I just want to reiterate. What do you think is the thing that AI is going to change completely, or what do you think that is going to stay the same?
You know, we've lived in an AI world for a while now, and I think some of us forget that, but again, I've been around a while. Machine learning's been around for years and years and years. The new wave, or the recent wave, the generative AI, ChatGPT, Claude wave, presents this sea change of capability that I'm still trying to process. So I'll expose myself just for a minute, right? Like in 1998 or 1997, I was learning HTML, and I wasn't a coder. I went to art school. And I'm sitting at my desk trying to build a really complex nested table, right? Like this is simple stuff today, but back then it was like, all the brackets and everything. And I'm literally crying. I'm like crying at my desk. Like, I can't, how do I make this work? What is this? And today, of course, hey, Claude, make me an application that does this and make it interactive and better. No, Claude, better. Come on, you can do better.
Yeah, I remember those like Hello World websites, that HTML that was just like a blank page with Hello World typed on it. Like, and I was so proud of that work.
And you should have been, right?
2000.
Right? I mean, I remember trying to learn Java and I was like, I'm not a coder. I don't know what's going on here. So these tools they make you feel superhuman. They make you feel like Iron Man in the Jarvis suit, right? And they give you these capabilities that with your domain as a marketer and as a creative, I have immense domain knowledge. I know what I want, but I can never bring it to life. And if you've ever sat with a developer, nothing against developers, but I'm trying to explain this really creative, weird thing that I want done, and all they're hearing is requirements and functional challenges, and we don't have the database for that. And now I'm just like, I just can build it and show you that's what I want. So the whole fundamental thing is shifting because of it. And so when you start to marry that kind of agility and technical capability with deep domain expertise, creativity, we're about to see an explosion of really wildly creative, effective, interesting changes in digital marketing that I think are going to remake the landscape yet again the same way that we saw that shift in e-commerce and social and mobile and all the rest of it.
Yeah. What excites you most about like what's going to happen next?
I think what excites me the most is the things I've dreamed about building, I can build.
Yeah.
Right? I can just sit down and I can ask for it and I can get it. And I think for those of us who are not afraid of the technology and we're willing to let it be a little messy and just sort of wade into it, the skills that the AI enhances you with, the capabilities that you get, it really is unprecedented. I mean, it really is like an alien landing and saying, it's like a genie, like, hey, rub, you get 3 wishes. What do you want? Oh, I want to build an app that does this. No problem. Yeah. So I think that's remarkable because the power is shifted as it always does back and forth. And right now the creatives and the marketing teams and the writers, if they're willing to use these tools, which is, something that's a challenge for some people, it's just unprecedented. I mean, I really, and if you're a developer and you understand what's happening, I mean, you're just at a whole nother level, the things that you can do. So I think we're going to see really sophisticated things. We've been talking about one-to-one marketing for forever, and now we actually have a tool set and a platform to actually be able to deliver some of this stuff, which is just incredible. Now, again, if you don't do the fundamentals right? If you don't have your ICP locked, if you don't have your messaging locked, if you don't have a good product, for God's sake, you're going to struggle. You're going to go real fast to run down the wrong road. But if you've got those things lined up, I think we're going to see some just amazing stuff. Yeah.
Marketers on steroids.
What's that?
Marketers on steroids.
Marketers on steroids, absolutely. Companies on steroids and products on steroids and customers, frankly, getting the benefit of that targeted messaging. Hopefully we're moving away from the spray and pray, 3 emails and a landing page kind of thing. Like, I think that we're going to see those playbooks fully break down and transform into something that I just don't think in a few years, maybe a few months, the traditional marketer is going to recognize, oh, that's what a marketing campaign is. You couldn't have even conceived of it 6 months ago.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, a fly flew into my nose. I'm just very unlucky right now.
You got bloopers galore.
For sure. Let's go into the practical side of things because we talked about all the vision stuff. What have you built recently that's really, really useful and that's changing the way you work? And why did you build it as well?
So the day that ChatGPT came out, I mean, I had been playing around with what they had called Playground before that. And I didn't really fully understand, to be honest, I didn't really fully understand it. But I mean, I remember the day that day, in November 2022 or whenever it was, I remember the feeling. And I really was like, oh, wow, this is incredible. And so I really threw myself into what is possible and what are the implications of that. And so at the time I was running product and kind of product and strategy for Third Door Media. And we were thinking about, as an editorial organization, what do these tools give us that we have dreamed about that we couldn't do? And so, very quickly it was like, we can create a custom GPT that handles all of our thumbnail images. And it does it on brand every time in 3 seconds and gives us the capability to not just, not use stock images, which we didn't love, but create a whole new visual guide and style guide. And so we started building those kinds of tools. We built editorial capabilities where you could take a piece of content and then literally like transform it in a moment into our brand standards, our capitalizations, all that stuff. So all of that got real fast and freed up time for us to start thinking about things. We built a chat bot. I mean, these were early days, unsophisticated, but still cool. A chatbot that learned everything about search engine land and everything about MarTech that you could then talk to. So you could ask it questions. We had 20 years of content in this database. So now you go and you have it. So we were building those kinds of tools in those early days and having, real success with that. And then it became, okay, well now how do we provide even more kind of workflows? So for example, how do we take a transcript from an interview like this and create, very quickly packages of value, social media posts, package all that stuff up. How do we do it in a way where it's structured and the output is great, create social calendars? So now we're creating like workflows, not agentic, but that kind of stuff. And so we continue to sort of iterate on like, okay, our current processes are this. So one of the things that is a challenge for a small organization, you run a large scale survey and you want to do the data analysis. Well, that might take 2 weeks. It doesn't take 2 weeks anymore, right? And I'm getting better quality data because I can leverage AI to sort of do the analysis and help me find the pattern recognition and the insights. And so we really remade a lot of kind of how we did the core content stuff, at Third Door Media. And that I've taken that now and sort of gone into, when I left in my own consulting work, it's really about how do you map process change to opportunities in using AI for either full transformation, like we're going to do a whole new thing, or we're going to significantly increase our capability. So without adding people, we can do the kinds of things you need to do in today's modern marketing environment. Like you have a video and a lot of times it'll be like, well, we got, like you'll take this video and create, 8 or 10 clips out of it. Well, you can do that because AI tools allow you to. In the past, you get 1 or 2 clips and you're like, it's enough. So, you're seeing the ability to do so much more with not necessarily fewer people, but fewer people can produce much, much more. And so you got this capability. So those are the kinds of tools that we started with. Now we're getting into, wiring up things like agentic flows, triggered things like email. Email comes in, this happens, that happens, a lot of stuff that you guys at ChiliPalooza
It gets
do.
more complex every,
yeah, and
it's layered, right?
And you know what, I think one of the things that's interesting to me is like the learning curve is going back up, right? So I'm thinking a lot lately about that moment in the late 90s of me sitting at my desk crying looking at HTML. Like a lot of this agentic stuff, it's not super hard. It's not like you have to be a coder, but like there's a lot of stuff and there's a lot of risk because the whole notion of agentic computing is like they have agency, like the word's right in it.
Yeah.
And so if you give me agency, I might do things you don't want me to do. And I'm also by nature a probabilistic, LLMs are probabilistic machines.
Yeah.
And so I think this next wave that we're going into, whether it's, the OpenClaw or, Paperclip, Hermes, all these agentic frameworks, it's going to be really interesting to see because the technical complexity is going up, the risk is going up, and yet the power is evident, right? Yeah. It's just clearly evident. And so, I'm really building a lot of those kinds of like deep research workflows that go out and do X, Y, or Z, bring back content, using APIs, MCP servers, and then transform something into something that it's like you could have dreamed it 2 years ago, but you couldn't have done it. Yeah. And so from a playbook standpoint, we've got all these new plays that are coming kind of out of the ether. And you're sort of able to dream about what if this, what if that. So these conversations are getting exciting in terms of like, no, we can practically execute this. Yeah. And I think so those are some of the things that, that have really worked well and bring a lot of value. I was on the phone with a customer this morning where I had built them what I call the Uber content system. So this is a menu-driven, basically like Claude scale, basically, right? Mm-hmm. And we loaded it with all of their brand voice, all of their particulars, their competitive set, their best performing articles, and we can hand it to a junior marketer and they type the word menu and it comes up with a list like, oh, what are you going to do today? You want to create social posts, you want to reverse architect a thing, you want to do customer research. And it handles it all through kind of this standard workflow with standard outputs, which is just, again, like, from a training and education standpoint, from a productivity standpoint, and from a quality output standpoint, we built that system. The team that I built that with, our goal was if we can get to 80 or 90% done in a one sitting session, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, we're in great shape because we know the human's got to be in the loop anyway. We're not looking to automate that stuff all the way. There's got to be some human creativity and discernment, I think, still in the market, but. You're talking about hours of work. That's just like, it's done and it's on brand and it's great. And we've been testing it and going like, this thing's actually better than we thought it was.
At what point do you think humans need to be involved?
I think honestly, there's a, like, is the technology capable of doing it all in itself today? Yes, obviously it is. Just let it go. I think the question is one of discernment and, frankly, brand. Like, how do you think about your brand, and do we want? Because remember, these are probabilistic systems by design. You can't remove the probabilistic nature out of the system. So if you're going to set something and let it go all the way, and you're not prepared for the problem that might happen. And so how does that impact brand? How do we feel about an errant communications going out, or something that isn't on brand? So I think for the time being, humans should be in the loop if you care about that kind of stuff. That said, I have friends and colleagues who, they're doing like, automated faceless video, Instagram, like whatever. I should say part of it depends on the setting. I've been speaking about my own experience, mid-market, enterprise, B2B mostly.
Yeah.
The technology's there. The question is, do you want to unleash it? I think that's a brand question.
For sure. Everyone needs to decide for themselves, or
Yeah,
how far they're willing to take it.
That's right, because the tech isn't the limiter, right? Again, like years ago, the technology was the limiting factor. It's now no longer. The tech is not the problem. I mean, you can set up Open Call out literally in 5 minutes and go do a thing, and it will just go do a thing.
Yeah.
Do we want it to?
Would that be your, like, if you were, talking to like a marketing leader or revenue leader that is just starting out to building out AI for their team, would that be like your main piece of advice? Like, figure out the guardrails, or? I
think a couple things. I think one is I spent a lot of time talking to people about, remember, we're going to have a really exciting conversation about AI. But I want you to ground it in the fundamentals, ground it in the brand, ground it in what you're trying to accomplish, ground it and keep it grounded, because we're going to talk about stuff that sounds like science fiction, right? And it's going to look like you can take this Uber content system, like I said, and I can create an incredible array of content that is going to sound perfect. It's not perfect, but it's going to sound and feel perfect. It needs to be perfect, right? Like, we're in a world where like it really does need to be. And so I think that there's that part. I think the other part is, especially at the executive level, I make a broad generalization. I think a lot of executives think it's magic, and it's not. It's math. And if you understand how these systems actually work at just a base fundamental level, you sort of get to sense of like, okay, it's not magic, it's technology. It has some things that are really, really powerful. It has some things that are a little risky. Understanding the frame for that, and then again, ground it back in fundamentals. What are we trying to accomplish? How are we going to accomplish this? That's a big part of the sort of AI literacy conversation that's happening right now, because it is very easy to listen to a vendor. I'm not pointing at you because you're a vendor, but like, it's easy to listen to a vendor and be like, wow, they really figured it out. Well, it's all, generative AI is new, so nobody's really figured it all out. And by the way, tomorrow when OpenAI drops their new XYZ model,
everyone's going to be clueless again.
That's exactly right. And so whether it's SEO or GEO, AEO, whether it's how you do personalized content, whether it's how you build your website or apps, this stuff is changing so fast that the only port in the storm I've identified is fundamentals. Stick to the fundamentals. I'm not saying go slow. Know who you are. Exactly.
Know who you are, and you can automate it.
Yeah.
One last question. So, like, now that all the companies have access to all the AI tools, we're running really fast. What do you think is the new moat?
So a couple things. One is we all have access to sort of the same tools, but we don't all spend the same amount on the same tools. In other words, the 4.7 today, so it's May, whatever, 7th or whatever it is today, 2026, Opus 4.7 is probably the best commercial model out there, but it's expensive to run. So if you're willing to spend the money and give everybody access to that model, better results, right? So there's a little bit of an economic caste system developing in my mind, where companies that are under-resourced are going to just not be able to afford the better models. I saw something the other day that blew me away. 95%, I think, is the number of ChatGPT users are using the free model. If you know anything about the free model, don't do serious work in the free model. Get a paid model. It's $20 a month. You're going to be way better off. So there's like division. So I think that's the first thing. Is access to the best technology is going to give you better results. And if we're playing a game of speed and agility, the faster that you can build stuff and the better you can build stuff, the more competitive advantage you're going to have. It's risky to be like, don't use the best models, right? So in terms of moat, in terms of just like if everything was equal, I think it comes down to discernment and taste, and I think it comes down to domain knowledge. right? Like, I spent 30 years doing marketing, doing strategy, all this other stuff. I probably know a few things. I've seen a few things. And I think that I can probably connect some dots that maybe somebody who's only spent 2 years maybe can't. I mean, maybe they can, I don't know. But I think that discernment, that experience is going to be a moat at some level. But again, like these technologies are pretty powerful. Like it's pretty remarkable what you can build without really having domain knowledge. Doesn't say it's very good or not, right? But it is still this thing that's like, you wonder where it's going. And when we start getting into, for example, self-learning, self-correcting, replicating AI agents that just sort of like talk to themselves all night, like make it better and better and better and better, we do enter a little bit of a twilight zone. But I think today the moat again, it's fundamentals, focus, and domain knowledge.
Absolutely. Anything else you would want to add? Anything else that is like top of mind, like that marketing people should know about AI?
Yeah, I will say that I've been thinking a lot about this. That the playbooks that we've grown up on, which have worked however they've worked, are radically changing. And what I mean by that is our ability to, for example, go and get data sets from different sources that we never were able to go get, and put them together and pattern recognize things that tell us things like, we know that this company is hiring these positions. We know that they have this technology. We have a press release that says they're doing this. We have, information in the public market, or we have shipping data, right? Yeah. That collection of data that is now accessible by just saying to Claude, go get this data for me, presents, I think, a sea change in what a marketing playbook is. And I think it puts an enormous pressure on the CMO and his and her team to sort of like process, like, what is modern marketing when you have all this data that you never had before? Like the notion of like, let's write 3 blog posts a month seems insufficient to the extent that it's almost laughable to me. Yeah. But I also have enormous stress and anxiety over that, because that's a whole other exciting and really cool whatever, but also like it's different. And how do you sell that to the CEO? How do you promise a pipeline? Hey, we're going to do something different. So I think this like experimentation of the shifting playbook is, if marketers aren't thinking about what a playbook is going to look like with these new capabilities, because they don't understand the new capabilities, I think they're going to wake up one day and find themselves not just out of jobs, but like out of the game. Yeah. I don't know how you're going to compete in that world, and it's stressful, frankly. Like it really
that's
is.
Why everyone's stressing out about it. Right?
Nailed it.
But yeah, no, there's a lot of hope, right? Because like I think like that marketers also feel very empowered. On the other side, they feel very empowered to do things so much better, and so
those that embrace the change. And look, humans, we don't like change. Like most humans don't do well with change. But those of us who embrace that change and run into the fire to figure it out have a slightly better chance than those who are like, I want to stick with the,
Let's run into the fire together here at ChiliPalooza. Let's do some rapid fire questions. Brand or pipeline?
A brand, all day.
Hire a creator or hire a strategist?
Creator.
AI agent or junior marketer?
Agent.
Build community or buy ads?
Community all day, every day.
Founder-led content or polished brand content?
Depends on the company, depends on the phase, but honestly, founder.
Depends on the founder as well.
Depends on the founder, yes.
Outbound or content?
Again, kind of depends on the phase, but I'm going to go content.
AEO or SEO in 2027?
SEO is AEO, basically. You can't do AEO without having the fundamentals of SEO, so the answer is SEO, but not because SEO is necessarily better, but it's built from the ground up.
Chasing MQLs, or we should kill off MQLs?
So you should kill off MQLs. I can talk all day about that, but for now, kill them.
I 100% agree. I'm glad you said that. Run the playbook or burn the playbook?
It's time to burn the playbook. Yeah. I have a podcast about that, by the way.
Oh, lovely. I'll check it out. Ship fast and ugly or slow but polished?
It depends on your brand.
Yeah.
But ship fast.
Claude or ChatGPT?
Today, Claude, but don't count ChatGPT out.
That was it. Thank you so much, Marc.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
That was awesome. Loved it.